can you? Week 5 doesn't just bring the whole, it's now the full season and we're part of the way in and now it's kind of the heart of it and the run. In this particular week, I think everyone was in the green. So you had to do more than just your predicteds. And in some people's cases, you almost doubled your predicteds. You know who I'm talking about. Well, if you don't, you will soon. It's usually around now that the Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were, kind of pop into my head. Because mainly, I mean, at this point, we're a third of the way through the fantasy regular season, so the league leaders might just actually end up being the league leaders in those categories. The sleeper that you keep waiting on to kind of pop off at some point in time, sure, they might be a second half comeback, or they might just be a bust. And I know a lot of us are making those decisions in our actual fantasy leagues, but in NFL, it's popped up in kind of the same way. This week, in week 5, most of the good games we saw coming, and most of the blowouts, again, we kind of saw coming. Looking at all the night games, each one presented a decent game. I mean, San Francisco, LA, but aside from actually maybe I wanted a few more fantasy points out of that one, everyone did at least something in that game that was supposed to do it. And it was a super entertaining game. I mean, the Bills-Pats was a bit of a surprise in terms of the outcome, I would say. But those games either go big blowout or nail-biter down to the end. Not the result that I think most of us thought we were going to get, but, you know, if the Bills are going to get one punch, the Pats are kind of the team that usually does it. Now, the Jacksonville KC is another one that, not the result we thought it, but we thought we were going to get. I don't think in most cases, at least. I know some people in elimination pools that got knocked out because of that one. 2 and 3 Chiefs, but yeah, the media is going to do what the media is normally going to do here. Probably blame Taylor, talk a little bit too much about the Chiefs, maybe miss the point that was actually the most Lawrence move of all time. Like, for those who've been following his career and waiting, he's supposed to be something great, gets them all the way down to the red zone, falls over twice, is only really not down by contact, because if you look at it, it kind of looks like they gave up on him, and then kind of falls into the end zone for a brilliant play. That's a pretty Jennifer Lawrence. We'll go Trevor Lawrence on this one. That's pretty indicative of what we've seen so far. Even some of the other games that gave us some entertainment. I mean, I have McBride in a keeper league, and so I've been following him for a little bit, and I've been forced to watch Arizona games. So every offseason, when everyone's saying this is going to be the Cardinals' year and they're going to make it, I'm always like, they're probably going to screw it up in some case. And this way, I mean, aside from DeMarcado trying to get his name in the headlines by doing something that someone did the week before and dropping it while celebrating, but maybe even more aggressively, you got Kyler, who almost got concussed because he wasn't paying attention and a snap hit him in the face. And I know you might think that's a rarity. If you watch the Cardinals, that happens 5 to 7 times a season. Easy, that he's not paying attention and the ball just kind of hits him. This one hitting him in the head and then him running off the field and pretending it was a foot injury was a little bit different. Or I guess the foot might have been, but you know what I'm talking about. And the fact the mediocre or actually piss poor team comes back to beat them, I mean, that's so Cardinals at this point, right? Stat lines that kind of drew my attention as the most appropriate. I mean, best stat line of the week, Jamar Chase, 4 catches, 3 tackles. He was in on all of those assists for the interceptions. I guess that's about as good as he's really going to get in a year like this. But if you had him as a defensive player or in a defensive player league, I think you're taking the bonus points. How about probably the creepiest, and I don't want to make fun of it headline, but literally at the bottom of the screen at one point just said, Sanchez stabbed, arrested. I don't want to know more. I don't need to know more, but that seems a bit on the nose. Or how about Fields being 0-26 when an opponent scores 21 points or more on him? That seems about all the Fields we've ever known and may ever know. Sorry to those who have him as a starter. I know fantasy points, you're just hoping he starts each week, but even that might have its expiration date. And the last one is a little bit selfish. I mean, I don't always pump the teams I'm actually cheering for, and very rarely do I actually get to be proud of the teams I'm cheering for. I hope I didn't jinx them, and that doesn't age horribly. But my Browns, I know their color means a lot of things to a lot of people, but did they really have to get pooped on like this? London, or Tottenham, but the UK games, number one, apologies, UK. The fact that you still like football is blowing my mind because we send you the worst teams. Minnesota has to go over, but at least they stay for 2 in a row so they get some continuity and feel better about it. Sure, Pittsburgh had to go there and back in a week, but then they got a bye week to rest. Not Cleveland. They get sent there, get sent back, and then play Pittsburgh, or an actual rival. I mean, they're going to lose anyway. We don't need maybe we do need the excuses. We did just trade our opening day starting quarterback to a division rival to try and help their season. to be a Browns fan. Anywho, that's enough for football. Our fantasy leagues are starting to heat up, so let's turn it over to the leagues to see exactly how week 5 went down. You know, sometimes when 10 plays 1, it's wiry and it's close, and just not this one at all. One of the all-time blowouts. Marco, you didn't even do that badly, buddy. I mean, you would have beaten me and nobody else, but at the same thing, like, 142 is competitive, and if we look down, it's not like you had that many crap performances. You did fine. You were over-predicted by 4 points. Waddle was a running back or wide receiver 4. Zach Ertz sucked butt for you, and if everyone noticed the huge message you got that was warning you like the apocalypse was happening, it was the rescoring of the Arizona and Tennessee game, so that's something to do with it. No one had Tennessee, by the way. They would have been a fourth high-scoring defense. Your bench, you could have made some changes, but what were you going to do against this juggernaut? Jeff, I looked this up. You are only, and this could be controversial because 241, technically this league was taken from the original Kenyan league that we had that I ran. I just changed, invited people, but it kept the same record since 2021. And 244, this was actually Tim, 244.96 is the all-time high, but I think since we've gone legacy, I think this is the highest, because actually, remember, this was like the auction league that we used to run this, so that was the first league. Anyway, just saying, I can't remember the last time that we were in the nosebleeds here in 241. Congratulations, Jeff. Now, you would think I'm about to list off all the number ones, and I can listing off one of them, but to be honest, I mean, Jake Browning, at least he got a win somewhere, but your wide receivers, Chase finally did something. He was the wide receiver 2, though, followed by JSN at 3. Obviously, Rico Dowdle's the start of the week. In some leagues, he's not even picked up, and yet in this one, he's starting and scoring the running back 1 spot. Sam Darnold was quarterback 4. So all of this is great. You made all the right calls clearly on the bench. Even if you didn't, who cares? You just had so many people in the 20s. And I guess throwing a couple 30s and a 40. And wow, Jeff, you're taking the league down here, buddy. You need to start. Can we vote on a name change? If you're pathetic, what does that make us? 5-0, first in the league. How far is this going to go, buddy? You're going to notice a trend because I'm pretty sure everybody was actually overpredicted. Even me, and I had the lowest score. Let's make it all about me if we can. Timmy here, though, 3-2. This was a huge matchup, 2-2 teams. 2 teams fighting for the playoffs. Now, currently, as it sits, you're both technically in the playoffs. 6 does make it. Mahomes was just outside of the top 5, Rennie. Laporta was just inside the top 5. He was the tight end 4. And Indy was a good pick. Actually, the second best defense, but no one started New Orleans. So the first defense that we started. So I guess that's something. Clearly, you had some bye weeks, so the fact that you were this competitive. And that's the crazy thing, folks. We were all in the green, and we all got hit hard, or most of us, by the buys. Speaking by the bye, we got Timmy here with the Diggs comeback performance, or the FU performance against the old team. He was the wide receiver 5. You had made a great start in that tight end. I don't think too many people had that one going. He didn't actually crack the top 5. It was a decent wide receiver or a tight end week, but it just felt it was worth saying. And overall, again, decimated by buys and injuries, but who cares? You put up a ton of points. So, sorry, Rennie, at least you're still in the playoffs. And Timmy, huge win, buddy. Top 5. One more week and one more win for Gene, who's quietly and not so quietly just doing it over again. Now, Tim, it was a pretty close one and probably a lot closer than you thought if you were watching the matchups, depending on when you woke up and how much you were watching. It did go back and forth. Now, we got a few people in the top 5 here. Gene had our quarterback 1. Where is he? Dax upstairs there. Had our tight end 2 down here in Jake the Snake Ferguson. And running back 3, if we keep going down, in Kyron. All of them have been pretty consistent all year long, so no surprises there. Now, we did have CJ Stroud on the bench, who was the quarterback 2, so thank you for not going too far gone on this one. And obviously some decent performances. Love to see that from Calvin Ridley. It means he did something finally. But on the other side here, Tim, you did have Javonte Williams, still been a big pickup. Week after week, he's scoring. He was the running back 5, and that's about it. You kind of just had some flat ones like Judy. Trey McBride hasn't really hit the end zone a whole lot, and he didn't have the game I think a lot of people were hoping for. And Kamara, weird season actually with New Orleans where they're actually doing okay, but He's not, and that's weird. That's uncomfortable for me. Anyway, Tim, you could have used this one, but don't worry. 155 is going to win you most weeks, so just do it again. You'll probably be fine. Gene just keeps sneaking it out. Second in the league, only to our undefeated guys. So who knows? Maybe the two of you need to meet and see what happens. I don't know what you say about a .04 difference. I mean, Connor, you already brought it up. It just seems to be your luck right now this year. Kent, on the other side, this is also seems to be your luck this year. Now, all the number of people I just talked about in the 150s that did well, you two were destined to play each other. And I almost feel bad going through it because we're going to go on the bench, and any time you could have played anyone differently, it would have changed things, obviously. Kent, on your side, tight end was a good pickup, but it was tight end 6. Fields, as always, just outside the top 5, but in the top 10. Yeah, you just had some okay performances. Nothing really to sneeze at there. Now, Kelsey would have been a pickup for you here, or a put-in for you, I guess. He was the tight end 5, so that's the only one. And you really didn't have too many other options, so I wouldn't feel too bummed about that, and you won anyway, and it's not like Waller was a huge mess, so I think you're fine. On the other hand, we do have a lot of people you could have put in here, Trevor Lawrence being the most notable. Taylor was still doing fine for you. That's the running back 2. Obviously, Hampton's the big disappointment for you, not because of his play, but more because of his injuries, and then kind of because of his play. So I'm sure with people scoring on the bench here, you've already got a plan B, but that kind of stinks. He was having a bit of a run there and looked like he was going to be the guy. So, Connor, you're going to have to bounce back. But Kent, you just seem to keep muscling out the win. So, keep it running. I stay in third place, but that kind of sucks. This one I really could have tried to keep pace with Gene. So, well done, Double J. You took me down. I didn't really have a whole lot on the go except for my wide receiver 1 here and my running back 5. Oh, wait. He's on my bench and actually would have won it for me if I didn't get all Woody marked up and think that Houston was going to... Dumb move. I'm an idiot. Anyway, we're going to bounce back. On the other side, to be honest, you didn't really have anyone cracking the top 5, although Shaheed was pretty close, and you got to be pretty happy with that. But just another story of people doing more than they should. I mean, look at your predicted and look what happened, so you can't be upset. Michael Carter probably being one of your best ones, although Mason Taylor, these tight ends that necessarily weren't like the household names coming in and putting up a bunch of receptions and getting extra points. And come on, man. I mean, you had a massive bye week. This was my week to take you down. Missed opportunity for me. Could have used the win. Still holding on the type 3. Huge win for you. Put you back in contention. Let's just see how close to a contention when we get to our standings. As I mentioned, lots of ties in the standings, so it does come down to points scored, and that's why I said here, big win for Double J. So you do technically tie for that last spot, but you're currently just a few points behind, and it's going to keep getting closer. No point in dwelling on this too much. Nobody's out of it quite yet, and everyone's just seemed to be chasing Jeff, because look at the point differential. Jeebus. All right, well, who drew the rough card and is playing Dippler next week? Whew, not me. Hey, look at this, 1 versus 2. Remember when I said they should play each other? Guess I willed it into existence. The rest of us, I'm not going to go through matchup by matchup because I know there's a lot of moves to be had. Only 2 bye weeks, or teams on bye weeks, though. So more injuries, I think, might be the issue. But either way, let's see how it runs. Heading into week 6, we have the same old, but all in the same week. So yes, it's an important one. Yes, I think we still have a London game. Yeah, we're going back to 2 Monday night games, but only 2 weeks, or sorry, 2 teams. 7th time I've done that. 2 teams on the bye. Lots of injuries, lots of movement to be happen, lots of key matchups. Got to say, I'm interested in them all, but the 1 versus 2, I'll definitely be keeping my eye on. But for everybody, hopefully it's a great week 6.